I think what brought me to this moment, though, is that my mom passed about a year ago. And she lived in D5. And, I'm a lobbyist. I'm well accessed. I know these people. I know these systems. So I'm calling around because she made $26 over the federal poverty line. So I call the city. I'm calling the state. I'm calling the county, Detroit Area Agency on Aging, any nonprofit I could get my hands on to try to get some financial support for her nursing home care because she had massive strokes. And I got nothing. And I knew if somebody with my level of education and access could not get anything out of our systems, I know the working class people that I live next door to the left and the right could not. And so it really fueled me. Politics is a contact sport. And if you sitting on the sidelines and you never get in and play, somebody's still playing. And somebody's still winning and losing. So if you're not in the game at all or paying attention, you're probably the loser.
Working professionals, creators, entrepreneurs, I need y'all to tap in. Listen, if you're tired of fighting distractions at home or bouncing around from coffee shop to coffee shop, then Bamboo has exactly what you need to be able to lock in and get your work done. In addition to having flexible meeting rooms and event space, they've got a community that actually supports you while you're in the building. So if you're ready to lock in some space right now, guess what? I got you. If you head over to bamboocowork.com right now and use the promo code BlackFriday20, you'll get 20% off any of your rental bookings. Don't waste any more time. Head over to bamboocowork.com and take care of that. Use that promo code. I'll be seeing you at a Bamboo location sometime soon. Now, let's go ahead and get back into the episode.
What up, though, Black Friday family? Welcome back to another installment of Black Friday's podcast. Before we get into today's episode, I need you to hit that like button, subscribe, drop a comment, send some videos to family, friends, and loved ones so that we keep this thing going. Now that we got that business out of the way, I literally got family in the building. I got someone in here who is a social justice warrior, a youth advocate, and probably the first lobbyist I ever met in life. But they are in a very important race right now, running for Wayne County Commissioner, District 5, Miss Jenell Mansfield. How you doing today?
I'm doing good. Happy Memorial Day. We in here on the holiday.
We in here on the holiday working, grinding. All the time. Undefeated, never lost.
Amen.
Now, we can go back and forth. I'm trying to keep it professional, but, we can play around all day.
Tell them how you used to be my student.
I did. Yeah, that's how I met you. So when I started college, Jenell had finished many, many years before me.
Man, maybe a semester. That
I don't know
spring.
if you had you graduated then?
Yeah, that spring.
Okay.
Yeah.
She was my summer bridge peer advisor, I think is what they called it. So she basically got a chance to babysit people who was fresh out of high school that was matriculating into college and actually taking classes. And that's where we met. We've been locked in ever since. Somebody who was definitely a part of the family. Was at my wedding, had an amazing time, gave me, spoke life into me at the wedding in only a way that she could. So yeah, this is definitely family on the podcast today. Took you long enough.
I know. I'm sorry.
It's all good.
I'm ready to be public facing now.
Exactly.
Talk my stuff a little broader nowadays. Yeah.
Exactly. So in terms of the race that you're a part of, like I said, it's very important. It does impact people's day to day in terms of Wayne County Commissioner. But I wanted to start with the baseline of what is a Wayne County Commissioner or commissioner in general for any county, and what does that job entail?
I love that question because I get that on the doors a lot and just in the wild, like, what does the county commissioner do? So essentially, the county commission is the legislative body of the county. So think of our government in tiers. So we have the federal level and you have the president and the Congress. The state, we have the governor and the state house and the state legislature, all those good things. Then you have your county. You have the county executive, who is Warren Evans for Wayne County. Then you have the commissioners, who is the legislative body, like that check and balances. And then for the city, you have your mayor and then you have your city council, right? And they legislate policies around the municipality together. So at the county level, the most important thing they do is assess property taxes. Assess, collect for property taxes, run the regional transit system we know in Wayne County as a smart bus. County health, which is like the first line of defense for people who don't have health insurance or accessible healthcare, you can always go get free healthcare from the county, right? Also, in any other myriad of things where we undergird, it's 43 counties in Wayne County, 23 communities, not counties. Also, more residents in 12 states, passes budgets in the millions of dollars. So there's a lot of inner workings and things that happen at the county level that we just simply don't pay attention to. And there's a lot of resources there. So as a county commissioner, you kind of corral the resources in tandem with the state and the city to ensure that all the people in the county are cared for and the people in your district. And District 5 is one of the few districts totally encapsulating the city of Detroit. So that's a beautiful opportunity to serve the very city that I come from. And there's 122,000 residents. 116,000 of them are Black. So to me, it's the perfect seat. It's the perfect time because the incumbent who was in the seat passed away. And it's the first time it's open for there's appointing and she's running, but completely open for somebody to kind of make their stake and, share their vision for what they think the seats should be.
And then what does District 5 include as far as the city of Detroit goes? And then if there's any other cities that's rolled up into that as well.
So it's totally encapsulating the city of Detroit.
Okay.
So it goes from John R. to Greenfield, 8 miles to Grand River and 96 Freeway. So that includes community, of course, like Bagley. This is Bagley. I'm a proud resident of Bagley the past 3 years. University District, Fitzgerald, Russell Woods, Palmer Park, Sherwood Forest, but also Green Acres, Marygrove community. So it's a huge district, right? Very, very diverse in the sense of like economic backgrounds, education backgrounds, very working class people to some of the more affluent people. A lot of the judges, city officials. Jocelyn Benson lives in the district. So there's a wide breadth of people to service. And I think I got all the skills to meet them where they at.
For sure. And then and that's perfect because like you said, it is the district that includes that is all inclusive of the city of Detroit. And then the first thing that anybody knows about you is the love of your city and your background. They're gonna know you from Detroit. They're gonna know you AKA. And they're gonna know that you're a mama. Them probably like the top 3 things that they would know just off first impressions. But in terms of being a daughter of Detroit, I would love to know, how has the city been able to help grow you into the woman that you are today?
Detroit is the most beautiful Black city in the world. And when I say the world, I mean the world. I know we come from a whole continent of Black people, but it's something special about the Black people right here in Detroit, right? And I think the culture, the confidence, the swag, that hustle, that resilience, I think has made me who I am. And, coming from the west side of Detroit, probably, Plymouth, Road, P-Rock girl. I was the first person in my family to go to college,
Wow.
I went to Detroit public schools, and I didn't go to some of those legacy schools. I went to Mann and like Ann Arbor Trail, and then went to Renaissance, right? And so I think I've had this beautiful hybrid experience of being like a real Detroit girl, walking up to Rouge Park and going swimming, eating at the Coney, going to the corner store, riding to Belle Isle with my mama, and like remembering the sight and the smells of the city before it is right now, and falling in love with it and like that rawness and like it raising me and giving me the skills to go into a Renaissance where I was one of the poor kids. Okay, I'm going to school with like very affluent children from very affluent families, right? But it gave me the skills to navigate both, and I learned a lot from them as well as from that upbringing. And so I think, and then going on to University of Michigan, really just made a perfect hybrid of how do you like operate in these structures, but stay true to yourself. And Detroit gives you that. It gives you that code switch, but also that bravado and that confidence. I could be a real Detroit girly and get things done. So yeah.
Yeah, and after living in different states myself and like meeting people, and they like, oh yeah, you from Detroit, or I know somebody, they know, they can identify. They was like, oh yeah, that is something about Detroit for sure.
Oh, absolutely. So on Valentine's Day, me and my boo went to Miami, and we're having dinner at Carbone, right? And it's this dude sitting next to us. He buffed up. You could see the watch, and I'm like, he from Detroit? He like, absolutely. So I'm like, you from Detroit? He like, what up, though? But you can see it, you could feel it off a Detroiter immediately. We just got the aura. We got it, the little swag.
Exactly. I love how you casually drop Carbone, but we're gonna keep it rolling. So of course, sticking with the theme of Detroit, I would love to introduce you to my favorite part of Black Fridays, which is Freestyle Fridays. So I hope you got some bars for us.
Absolutely.
Talk to us.
I really rap. Like, okay.
Yeah, I done seen that you've been in the booth. That's why.
So look, I have a lot of dreams. Like one of my dreams, I have a catering business.
Mm-hmm.
I do education advocacy, and I really want to be a Detroit rapper. Like I don't want to just have a bunch of hits and be a cash doll, but I definitely want to be a Lola Demone.
Okay,
one hit that hit the streets, and it's
and that's
time.
it. And that's it.
We growing like mildew.
Yeah.
Bars, as far as bars, vote for J Man. She's the girl with the plan. She got all you need. I think you understand. She gon' hit them doors and she gon' get them votes. She the best. You better put her on the top with your vote. Hey, see y'all August 4th. I got better bars. I got better. I got better ones. I just need more prep. You know what I'm saying?
For sure. But since that you did, thank you for giving us some bars and being a brave soul to do so. I would love to ask you a couple of rapid fire questions if you don't mind.
Absolutely. Let's do it.
All right. So speaking of bars, if you had to give District 5 for Wayne County a theme song, what would that be, given that you are a resident of the district? What's the vibes?
I would say Diana Ross, I'm coming up. Why? Because I think D5 been lit, right? Like it is got so many historical districts and aspects to it. And Black-owned business has always had a home near off Livernois and Avenue of Fashion. But also, like, we're welcoming the Beyond Juice, right? Like, I think we've been that girl. Like, and like Diana said, I'm coming up and I want the world to know. So, like, we've always been that, but now it's time to put that on the center stage as our city is growing and glowing.
Mm-hmm.
And people want to come out from, like, just downtown and midtown and see what our neighborhoods have to offer. And I think D5 has that distinctive flair of not just the Livernois corridor, but also on 6 Mile. We got the Toss and Sauce.
Yeah.
If you head down even further on Puritan, we got Wing Stars. Oh, we want a full D5 shout out, okay?
Yeah.
We love our hood foodie influencers as well as some of those more prominent businesses, growing their roots. So I think D5, even as far as like the business sector, but also purchasing homes, right? You want, of course, a beautiful home in one of those signature areas off of Outer Drive. Shout out, I live off 7 Mile. I always wanted a house off Outer Drive as a little girl, so this is like I'm living in my dream house. But there's also beautiful areas tucked up all in there for people who grew here to grow, to like plant their roots and have homes and be able to trust the schools and trust the community that we're building. So she coming up and she want everybody to know.
Love it. Love it. And this is a two-parter. Who would you say is your favorite, either social justice warrior, political person, anybody that you would like seek or get inspiration from?
Coleman Young. Aloha Mother. He'll cuss you out.
Yeah.
He'll cuss you flat out. He'll be investigated by the feds for 20 years. And he still said, I'm a Detroiter. It's how I represent my people. And I'm going to do it flawlessly, right?
Yeah.
And I think he wore a moniker of what a Black mayor is. And it didn't just set the tone for Detroit, but what it doesn't mean to have that type of Black leadership nationwide, right? And we do see, like with Mary's election, right? We love to see that Black authenticity and that love for our city to come back, right? But we also see it in Baltimore. We see it across the country where Black mayors are on brand. And I think he was the first one to ever do it. And I want to be able to cuss y'all out and still be myself and do great policy and great work and bring business and do my job as an elected official, but still be, like, don't play with me.
Of course. Of course. And the second part of that, would you take $500,000 towards your campaign, or would you rather take a dinner with Coleman A. Young?
$500,000 to the campaign. Coleman has made his imprint on the world.
I think I was going to say Coleman would tell you to take the $500,000. Coleman would definitely tell you to take $500,000.
If Jesus ain't at the dinner offering you your salvation, you better take that money.
Understood. And then, what is a hidden gem in District 5 that people may not necessarily be aware of?
A hidden gem in District 5. I would definitely say Parrots, the new bar and grill off of Livernois. And I think it's getting traction. It's always packed when I ride by. But I think it's a beautiful hybrid of authentic Detroit bar. You're going to get that free pour. But the food was very good and creative, and that energy of like a more modernized space, right? Like the aesthetic is really cool. They got like a little printed sign in the back, like we on the Ave with it. I'm like, yeah, period. So I definitely think that is one. And I would say my new favorite hidden gem is Parkside, Coney Island.
Okay.
I know y'all be like the old Shorewood, then it was known as all the Parkside Coney Island gets us together. Okay, 24 hours, the best cheese, corned beef egg rolls, and they be shaving the corned beef in the back. And they got Kool-Aid. So, like I said, a hybrid kind of girl.
Say no more. We will be there after this interview.
Corned beef egg roll, tell them I sent you.
And last but not least, you are a mother of twin boys. Pick your favorite twin.
Not possible.
No, I was hoping you would answer that.
You like them, you love them equally. Then you like, I have 3 kids, so you like them differently on different days. One day you like, I rock with you today. Next day you like, get on my nerves.
My real question was, do you do a ranking system out of the 3, like Deion Sanders does with his kids? Like, you number 1 today, now you number 3. You was number 1 Monday, you number 3 on Tuesday.
I said this, we're all human beings. And some days it's a thing when you got 3 people, little people around you, they will play off each other's energy. They try to kick the other ones while they down, build the other ones up, they fit each other. So you really just are just a little pawn in there. You don't really get to choose. They doing the choosing and all the, configurating in the house of who's the favorite that day.
For sure. Well, thank you for partaking in Freestyle Fridays and successfully passing.
Thank you.
You did a great job. So now would love to be able to get back more into your story and being able to understand the journey that you took in terms of your pathway to now you're running for commissioner for District 5. But in terms of, you started out after Michigan, you started out in education, right?
I did.
So what was that journey like, and then how did it shape where you are now and the things that you value and are fighting for?
Awesome question. Love that. It's because teachers are everything. Teachers do everything. Teachers have the skill set to make everybody else, and that you have this skill set that you can replicate on everything. Engaging with people, backwards planning, learning how to read a room and set the tone, right? Like, you just take on a different set of leadership skills. So when I left Michigan getting my master's in social work, I remember telling my mentor, I want to be a teacher and social worker and save the world. She was like, okay, do it. I was like, okay, how? She was like, get your master's in social work, teach for America, you could do it all. And so I did get my master's in social work from U of M in 2012. And then I was a core member for Teach for America Detroit. And I taught on the east side at Brenda Scott. And this was when the EAA was coming in the district. I had more kids than I had seats. I had 37 on the roster and about 33 to 34 showed up daily. And me and let me tell you, me and my babies is still some of the best of friends. Like, we have followed each other for years. They was knocking doors with me yesterday. Like, me and those kids have been printed on each other. And all teachers kind of say that about the first group. But I think I took on such a different understanding of our city and like education and versus like how I grew up and then being placed like on a totally different sector of the city. Like, it just kind of opened my eyes, right? And so I went on to be a school social worker because I got pregnant with my twins, and teaching just feels crazy when you're pregnant, right? And so I had a certification in school social work, and I was using that, and it was a charter school, and the working conditions were horrible. So we organized into a union, and at the end of the year, we all got fired. So I'm sitting here with 7-month-old twins. My account is overdrawn by $1,800, and I'm just applying for jobs. I get a job with Sadie Trey Play Center, being their inaugural director of academics, and running like the 3 to 8 space, right, on the east side, on 7 Mile and Van Dyke at the old Lipke Center. And for me, that was paradise because that's where I had taught, because I taught at Brenda Scott right off like 7 Mile. And a lot of my old students came back, was in the program, and it really just taught me the impact of like philanthropy and business and community when they like have a good confluence together, how we can move community forward. And all of this is working together, and boom, in 2016, this really interesting person gets elected. We won't talk about him. And everything I did in my personal time became political. My first experience knocking doors was on a ballot recall initiative for Warren's mayor, because he got caught on that hot mic saying very interesting things about the Black folks of Warren. So that was some fun doors, though, because some doors is our cousins like, yeah, we got to get them out here. The other one's like, we love, get off my porch. So, and this is, new MAGA America. And I began to like volunteer on campaigns and do all this stuff outside of like running a center. And I knew like maybe I want to run for office. So I did some office, like some prep work with like Michigan Political Leadership Program, New Leaders Council. And everybody was like, you really like politics, you need a job that's like going to show that you can run for office. And so I became a director in the district running the Parent Academy Initiative, which was like 150 parenting courses over the semester. which allowed me to really touch the community in a different way. Think about how all these things are scaffolding up into. Finally, I was offered a job with AFT Michigan by a Black woman who was my predecessor. And she was like, I'm about to leave my job. You want a job? And so for the first time, they mashed up their political organizer with their legislative work. So I'm their political and legislative coordinator. I advocate for over 40,000 educators, public workers, and healthcare workers across the state, which means I lobby the budget, workers' rights. We help repeal right to work. When the students of Detroit sued the state for $94.6 million for their right to read, and they won, and the state wouldn't release it for years, I lobbied on make sure the district finally released that money. Teachers in Detroit hired after 2019 didn't have the collective bargaining rights because the member became DPS and DPSCD. They did a little switch in there and said any new teachers can't be unionized. So we worked to get their collective bargaining rights back. And this has only been the last 5 years. And so looking at all of these experiences, I've learned, how do we work with community? How do we work with business? How do we formulate laws that actually move things for the daily lives of working class people? And like working in the labor movement has like taught me so much. You know, I got to be a delegate to the DNC, and it's opened so much doors for me as a Black woman in politics, right? Being able to cast my vote for Kamala Harris at the national convention was like one of the high spots of my life, right? So I think what brought me to this moment, though, is that my mom passed about a year ago. And she lived in D5. And, you know, I'm a lobbyist. I'm well accessed. I know these people. I know these systems. So I'm calling around because she made $26 over the federal poverty line. So I call the city. I'm calling the state. I'm calling the county, Detroit Area Agency on Aging, any nonprofit I could get my hands on to try to get some financial support for her nursing home care because she had massive strokes. And I got nothing. And I knew if somebody with my level of education and access could not get anything out of our systems, I know the working class people that I live next door to the left and the right could not. And so it really fueled me like, okay, you should do something. 50% of our budget in the county goes to the sheriff and to jails. No way that we can't think of something more proactive to do for our seniors to age in dignity and for our young folks to have like a welcoming city. Like, how are we taking care of the taxpayers right before they can even interact with a criminal justice system? So I'm here now, you know, looking at all the experience I've garnered from working with electeds. Not only am I focused on winning because I know how to win. I've run field politically for the last 2 presidential elections, the last gubernatorial and the last municipal. Nobody know the voter landscape better than me, I feel like, at least. And also how to govern, because I watch people govern very poorly. And Detroit be put on the back burner. And I refuse for that. So I'm excited to use all these fun skills and do a really hard thing. So
I love that. I love that. And then being able to obviously take your own experiences that you had in terms of the resources that are put in place in order to be able to support us in the county, but then also not necessarily the most accessible because of broken systems, communication, all the things. So I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit more as to some of the key resources that we may have, like as a county or for the district that people may not be privy to, because like you said, you called everybody in order to get support for your mom, but like what are some of those things that's in place for us? And then how does that or should impact people's day-to-day who live in these areas?
Absolutely. So for example, one of the biggest responsibilities of the county is property taxes, right? And what happens when people in our communities go into foreclosure? What is the first line of defense when somebody has reached that point because of their taxes? Are we offering them? Or do they got to call us? And then we tell them to call 3 other people. Then they never get an answer. Literally knocked the door of a woman yesterday who was keeping her great-grandchild because her grandchild, now mind you, this 2-3 generations removed from her children. And she was like, because I've had to take my great-grandchild in and I retired, I am behind on my property taxes. And I said, have you talked to anybody from the county? She said, I keep calling, I can't get it. How do we, the same way we'll mobilize to get somebody votes, how do we mobilize a street team and take these resources to the people? Because there is payment plans. There is a pause you could do. There's many things at the county level, because I never want to say these things don't exist. And I think Warren Evans has done amazing things to make the county more accessible and have more resources, especially around the taxation issues. But we know systems are systems. So how do we use our positions as commissioners to disperse these resources into communities outside of Black clubs and photo opportunities, right?
Yeah.
Really going door to door and having a system to talk to people. Transit. We know that no county, no city can survive without viable transit. Detroiters already pay for the smart bus, right? But we're limited in access because of the 14 communities who have opted out. This August, they will have an opportunity to opt in. So that means Detroiters will get direct bus lines to Redford, Livonia, Plymouth Township. What does that mean? Economic development. That means our seniors have access to better health care, better shopping opportunities. Our kids have other opportunities to find joy, to go explore our county and our different cities, right? So we as Detroiters deserve that access just as much as people come work and play in our city, for us to go work and play in their municipalities as well. Also, RX Kids, that is an excellent program the county has taken on to pay new mothers a stipend for those first few months after birth. When I told you I was $1,300 overdrafted with 7 months old, RX Kids would have saved me in that period, right? So how do we, in the face of losing federal funding, make sure we can still backfill those type of programs by working with the state, coalescing with the city, right? Because the city has its own separate RX program from the county. Just these very nuanced things people may not even understand. But how do we really get those resources to the doors of folks and take care of our most vulnerable, our children and our seniors?
Yeah. And I love that because the biggest thing, some of my biggest issues with politics, especially local politics, is, like you said, people are showing up for the photo opportunities, the opportunity to be able to touch people during campaign season. But how do you keep that listening channel, that feedback and information, how do you keep that flowing throughout the entirety of someone's time in office and in general, just to be able to keep a pulse of what's truly going on with people? Because it comes off as, I don't care until it's time for me to save my ass and get back into a political seat.
Woo, child, talk about it. And I think from working in politics the last decade, and specifically in this lobbying role the last 5, I've watched really great legislators and I've watched really bad ones. The really great ones have constant communication with their constituents, whether it's the bare minimum happy hour or doing those deep canvases whenever it get warm. Spring, summer, they got whole teams of people in off election years going door to door asking people, what do you need? What do you see that you what do you not see in your community that I could be doing differently, right? Opening up that communication, but also I have come up on this theory of, like, remember back in the day in the 90s when it was a party, it would be the street team.
Yeah.
They'd be in the streets with the t-shirt, with the flyers. Why we don't have a street team?
Facts.
We need a street team to be rolling through D5, letting people know what are the resources available to them and whether we have a targeted senior. I went to a senior home last week and they was like, people come in here and they present to our seniors and they never come back. How hard would it be for you to make 1 month a touch on a different senior home that you know?
Yeah.
That's not a heavy lift.
Yeah.
And this is what I noticed about the best elected officials. They feel beholden to their people, not to any corporation, not to any donor, but to the voters. And so I think that's the biggest thing for me is how do we reinvent new ways to touch folks? And people let us say, oh, that's a social media candidate. Baby, them people is on social media. They are not in legacy media. They're not listening to radio ads. How do you use these new structures and systems to turn resources to people versus just your message and vote for me, you know?
Because I think you could even see power in wherever you sit on the side of the teen takeovers that's been happening in not only Detroit, but other major metropolitan cities. But being able to mobilize on social media, like, I don't know how, I want to say the old man in me want to say they got together on Facebook, but that ain't how they did it. I don't know, Snapchat, Roblox, or whatever they doing.
Whatever.
Yeah,
they
TikTok.
was on them socials and all of them to be replicating like that, something's out there telling them to do that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so we need to figure out ways to be able to mobilize in similar ways. And then, the other side, they've been able to figure out how to mobilize and, storm capitals on January 6th through Facebook. So how do you, like you said, leveraging these platforms to be able to go out and do good and mobilize people to make real change in the communities that we all live in and care about?
Absolutely. And I think it starts with, like, understanding that we are in, like, the wild, wild west of, like, social media and media in general. And it takes for you to pick up your mic and talk about the things you do to improve our community versus some of these PSYOP conversations that we see going on. Like, sometimes we really have to understand, like, there is propaganda, there is manipulation in all of these systems. And if we don't step up and repurpose them for social justice, for people, for movement, then they will remain co-opted.
Yeah.
Right? And then they'll limit our access because we see that with socials now. Socials starting to get real weird. Why? Because they see it as a movement tool. They see the liberation aspect of it, right? And so I think social media is one thing, but I never discount door-to-door, face-to-face conversations. When we lost 40% of our kids in the district in COVID who were just not getting online, who didn't have the capability, and I started the first canvassing initiative for the district to go support and find those students, going to them doors totally changed people's whole outlook on, like, how do I feel about my school district? How do I feel about the resources available to me during this crisis? You know what I'm saying? So I also think there is understanding how to innovate in this new zeitgeist, but also we know what works. Go do what works. It ain't magic. You know, go talk to the people. Go knock on their doors. Go get in up in the community with the folks.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And speaking of social media, where do you stand on 50-50 dates?
We don't do that around here. We don't do no 50-50 dates. Not 50-50 bills. Some of y'all broke.
I was going to say, in this economy.
50 better than 0, baby. And also, that's how we also know that's a psyop. Anything that is pulling dissension from us not to be coalescing together. Honestly, the quickest, and people don't like this stat, the quickest way out of poverty is to get married.
Wow. Tell us more.
Yeah. You got to think, if I'm a person making $30,000 and my partner's making $25,000.
Got you. Combined income.
We make $50,000 and we in one household. Right? You know what I'm saying? Like, if you look at the quantifiers for poverty, it's always a separated household. And it's not to push the institution of marriage. It also could be pushing the institution of auntie need to live in here with the cousins, with the grandma, with the baby. Right? How do we build communal structures to overcome poverty, right? If I keep telling you, you going to get that apartment at 18, gonna leave you broke and your credit messed up, and you're gonna be back with your mama at 22 anyway, you might not want to leave out so soon.
Yeah.
Right? And so, I think and I don't like to say we not doing stuff in comparison to other communities because this is my community. But we also got us at a certain point take our ownership of what could we do differently out of this system that is set up to be so, like, against us.
So speaking of my people, we got to slow down on the common law marriages. If you're going to be with that woman for 20 years, go ahead and lock in because you combine the incomes and now we come up.
You know we love going together for 30 years. It's like, y'all got 5 kids, y'all still go to, yes.
That's my friend, my roommate.
My roommate. Little do you know, you keep living there long enough, like he said, common law, you're married anyway. You don't have to still split your assets if you want to break up. So you might as well just go get married. Yeah.
Facts. What would you recommend to people in terms of being more informed and being more proactive when it comes to the things that happens in their community? So whether it be voting for Wayne County Commissioner or voting for any local election, because I always tell people you want to, of course, the national elections are, they matter, but the stuff that happens your day-to-day, like that literally affects your day-to-day livelihood and the things you have access to and what you're able to do. But I don't think a lot of people, and I'm sure you've seen this in your fights and struggles with governments and these different systems and organizations, that people don't fully grasp their own power. And so, like, what would you say to encourage people to invest more into that power, lean more into it?
Because it's also not a mistake, right, that they're divested. Like, they're overworked. Like, our labor force is built off the format of chattel slavery to extract the most, to give you the least, right? People and the systems are built in this way. Like, when I'm knocking doors, the one lady's like, well, I'm mad at my cracked sidewalk. I say, oh, baby, that's the city. So she's like, well, what you do is this county? She's like, well, I want you to do this. And I said, well, girl, you got to vote first. So that, like, the most basic step to engage in the system is to vote. And at least Google all of these candidates on your phone and see who has a platform you like, who do you agree with. Actually do your research on the ballot, because on election day, you know how many calls and texts I get from people, who I need to vote for this, for this. Right? And who are your trusted validators, right? That you listen to, that even maybe when you don't feel like reading.
I've been listening. Yeah, I've been listening to your videos.
Yes, I get the random on Instagram. Yeah. But Pardon Me with P is also a great platform.
Absolutely.
If you want commentary on politics, just all things going on socials, there is some trusted validators, Gander News, Outlier Media, Michigan Chronicle. We know we probably can't trust the MSNBCs, but find you a good independent news source that you could trust the information, right? Even if it's Sam Robinson on Twitter, he gonna tell you the truth. So who can we trust when we want opinions on those things? And start with something small. Go to your Black club or start watching some of these meetings. So I have set all my news alerts and I watch the Wayne County meetings, $300,000 being passed. All of this money moving around and nobody paying attention. At least start, even if you're at work, play it in the background, the city council meetings. The city council knows that there is a structured set of people that always call in. They like, Miss such and such, she gonna call in. Why don't you be the shocker sometimes and call in? Right? Like sometimes what I always say is one step toward the process or toward the action is gonna take 3 steps towards you. Right. And we anxious for people to be more involved and more like asking more questions. It's going to be an organizer or somebody waiting on that other side. Like, oh, you like this? Like, come over here. I'm going to teach you more. And what people got to understand, I live politics 24/7. As an active citizen, you don't got to do that, but you got to give something. Right. Politics is a contact sport. And if you sitting on the sidelines and you never get in and play, somebody's still playing and somebody's still winning and losing. So if you're not in the game at all or paying attention, you're probably the loser. Yeah.
Did you see the video, the older white man in Oakland County? He went to their county meeting and he went off on them and he was like, things I trust. He had a list of things that he trusted more than them. And he said, Bill Cosby is my bartender.
And he ain't lying. And I'm going to tell you, you better watch those people in Oakland County and their recall efforts around one of their commissioners. And it had all to do with like police surveillance cameras and a contract and them not getting the right say. Let me watch how them people exercise their rights and don't let you do anything to them. You know how, I ain't gonna even, let me stop. Surveillance technology in our communities, a predominantly Black community. You know how much been passed and ain't nobody said nothing or they demonized or look crazy. These people are giving us a perfect example of we have a say here. And if I don't like what you're doing, you're not going to do it. If I don't want them cameras in my community, you're not going to do it.
Yeah.
So how do we start modeling that activism in our communities while still centering public safety and, decorum in our city, but also we're not going to just take anything.
And like you said, it's happening in plain sight because it's not like they're not having meetings about this and nobody's showing up or very low numbers of people paying attention to it. And then the people who do, then they try to pass them off as like, oh, that crazy person over there. Like, Julianne always doing something wild, but it's really some truth to it and they doing it in plain sight.
Yeah, and I think people are getting past the gaslighting because gas is $5. And your president stood up there and said, I don't think about America's financial situations.
I bet you don't.
I bet you don't. You're in here grifting and guzzling. You getting all you could get, right? And so I think that we have to be more active. We have to wake it up a little bit because we're getting done in. When you go into the grocery store and they digitally changing the prices of the groceries right in front of you, that's crazy. I'm on Instacart this morning. I know Myers got heavy cream. Why are you showing me the Horizon is the only option? That is manufactured. And they also know my online shop. All of these things are being coalesced against us. So the only thing you got is your 2 feet and your activism between you and honestly full out fascism and an oligarchy. We more so live in an oligarchy where the richest folks are taking everything. But yeah.
And so I would love to understand your line of thinking of this. So best case scenario, you win the selection. On day one, obviously you have a mandate of what that role is for you to have. So being able to, of course, review the different the different legislature that comes through, what gets passed, budgeting, things like that. But outside of that, I'm sure there are different initiatives that you will be able to take on as a commissioner member. So what are some of the things that you want to be able to get rolling on day one?
Taxes. I want to talk about property taxes. I want to talk about the ways Detroiters are taxed. And I think as a person who has worked with elected officials, first that starts with coalition building. Who else is on that commission who cares about that equally and will be wanting to take that up with me, right? And so how do we build a coalition first within a governmental body and then buy-in community? So working in education and understanding funding, everything's about that funding formula. And we've been fighting for at least a decade for a weighted funded formula where we know kids in Detroit and West Bloomfield need different things to be educated and their property taxes are different. So their schools are different. So how do we make up for the gap that property taxes cause, right? And we need experts, researchers. We had to pay a lot of money as AFT Michigan in tandem with other unions and community partners to get the Student Finance Research Collaborative, which is basically the Bible on equitable school funding in Michigan. We need the same for property taxes. When you ask who are the property tax experts in the room, crickets. It's 3 or 4 people who really understand why those meals are what they are, what has been calcified at the levels that they have, right? And we need to get them people in the room. And we need them to come up, what are the formulaic solutions to ensure that Detroiters are never overtaxed again? The people who were overtaxed and placed in a foreclosure crisis and lost their pathways to wealth are made whole. And even people, there was an article in Outlier News this week saying that only people in Detroit were shorted their overage payments from that overtaxation. One woman was saying she was expecting $1,800 and it came $1,500, and it was widespread. Why is that? We have questions. And so I think that's my first thing. We have questions. I want answers. 2, what is the formula? What are the meals? Why are they the way they are? And what needs to possibly change, right? And what is going on with our assessments and our evaluations of our property? People are being overassessed. How do we become that? Let's be honest. You are a check and a balance. You are not a rubber stamp of the treasurer. How are you assessing my people in Detroit versus how you do in Livonia? Let's make it make sense. So that would be my first thing is taxes. And I think that's a huge thing. And I think that is going to cause some pushback, cause some tension. And I want to build a coalition to look into it and then see what is the policy solution we could come out on the other end that we can galvanize community behind. Because it can't just be me. You shouldn't let any one person think they're going to do anything for you by themselves. You should think, who can I put in a place to echo my sentiments and I can get behind and help them get that done? So for me, it would be taxes. And then, of course, the RTA. It's on the ballot. I know Detroit's going to pass it. We hope those.
What is RTA?
Regional Transit Authority, a.k.a. the Smart Bus.
Okay.
So making sure we have access to that and not in a way that disrupts DDOT, but undergirds DDOT's operations. And like I said, it gives us that regional, really, for us to have regional transit, we have to start with countywide transit. We can't go to Macomb, we can't go to Oakland if we can't get around Wayne. So really hopping on with True and all the other community advocates behind that and really educating our community of the benefits of that and making sure they're taking full advantage. So for me, the biggest things would be taxation, transportation, and of course, resources for our seniors. How are we using our budgets? How can I propose programs and line items and things or aggrandize access to things that are already there? Because I don't want to pretend like they're not doing great things, but increasing the access for our seniors and for our young people. And really, I think for my mama, I got to put down for my mama and make sure all the beautiful grannies and grandpas I met on the trail that I have something to deliver back to them.
All day. And I would love to know what has been the biggest learning lesson or lessons that you've had. And like you said, you've been a part of campaigns before and been behind the scenes. Now switching the attention to you and being in the driver's seat of having your own campaign that you're doing right now. What's some of those things that you have learned along the way?
I learned like everybody that says they're going to come with you and encourages you to run, they ain't coming. But for every one person, there's like 10 that are. And like, once you take that step, it just opens up so many doors of like people who want to support you and buy into the vision. And I forgot who said it to me. My best friend, Courtney, she said it. She was like, it's the biggest exploration of self-belief. Like, do you really believe you say you are who you say you are, that you can do the things you say you're going to do? And it make you stand up to it. It's like a big popularity contest. And it's like, man, I'm smart and pretty. I can do it. So no, but seriously, it lets you know that it's very validating while also being very challenging. And it makes you have such a spirit of gratefulness. Because these people don't got to like you. I got a whole team of my friends who are Michigan, Howard, Renaissance, like top tier, brilliant people doing this for me for free, with me for free. Right. And I just am so blessed and so thankful. And I know this is why this is the right time and why it's righteous, because everything is aligned. And I don't feel like I've owned it. I feel like I got to work for it and earn it. So I feel like it's a beautiful, terrifying thing.
And then if you want to take it to the next level, you got to get some Cass Tech people in there. You know that, right?
We got some technicians in there, don't we?
Okay, all right, cool,
my baby was a technician.
All right,
the twins want to go to Cass, so everybody been brainwashed over there. It's okay.
Well, amen to that. How can people, now that you are doing this campaign and being able to go through this journey, how can people be able to support you, whether they live in Wayne County District 5 or not? What's the best ways for people to support?
First off, if you live in Wayne County District 5, we need your vote. We need you to vote for me on August 4th. Jenell Mansfield, I will be on the back of the ballot, and we were asking everybody that lives in District 5 to vote yes on the Smart Bus renewal and yes on Jenell Mansfield for County Commissioner. And if you don't live in District 5 and you want to support, I need you on them doors. Campaigns are won by dollars and doors, and those are the ethics of this campaign, right? We need people to knock every door. Like I said, it's 20,000 voters in this primary. I need 10,501 votes. And every voter we talk to, they love what we're talking about, and they want to vote for me. But we need the people to do it. So go to morewithmansfield.com. That is morewithmansfield.com. Click on the link to volunteer and sign up. We are outside on the doors Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And we got phone calls because we know everybody don't like to put the soul to the post. And lastly, we need them coins. We need donations, love tokens, donations, okay? We have crossed our first 15,000 raised, and we need about 30 to make this vision happen, right? So we need you to go on to morewithmansfield.com again and click the link to donate, okay? Any gift is majorly appreciated, especially if it's recurring. But anything you do will be appreciated and push our vision further into District 5 and hopefully put us over the edge on the ballot. And I'm a Democrat. The race is the primary. My race is in November, but because this is a contentious primary, this is the race in this August. So we need all the dollars, all the doors before August 4th. So come on, hurry up.
Well, Jenell, thank you so much for finally pulling up to the Black Fridays podcast. It's grateful to have you on the platform. And as you can tell, we can talk about anything. It comes to politics, what's going on locally, things like that. But grateful to see that you are stepping into your power and being able to step into the forefront of being able to drive true change for the people in our community and the people that I know that you care so much about, just having the loving spirit and enjoying and loving on people in your day-to-day, but now being able to do so at a broader scale. So shout out to you.
Thank you. And thank you for having me. Thank you for supporting me, always loving me. TT, I'm Giselle's TT, and I'm glad that he let me come on today. So thank you for having me.
Anytime. Yeah. Everybody watching and listening, make sure that y'all continue to tap in. We're going to see y'all on the next one. Peace.